So, in the last 4 years, I have attempted a lot of different things. I've tried a bunch of different businesses, side hustles, content. I've experimented with different things. And I've realized that basically everything comes down to two things. And it's not the market, it's not the timing, it's not the state of the world, it's not politics, it's not your looks. And those two things are your character and your mindset. And the whole character category basically comes down to, are you the type of person who has the ability to just endlessly figure shit out? Now, what I mean by this is, you start a new business, right? You go, I'm going to do dropshipping. But you have no idea in the entire world how dropshipping works. So you go, alright, cool. And start Googling stuff. ChatGPT, YouTube, right? And you start researching. And you start learning things. You start, understanding how it works. And you go, cool, I'm going to start this. So where do I start? So you find a website. You find some supplier. And you just start sending emails, you start doing research, setting things up, experimenting, just signing up for a bunch of random stuff. And you eventually end up with a website. And you just watch a bunch of videos and sort of figure it out, ask some people, and eventually you have a good website. And eventually you have a better website. And you go, well, how do I do payment processing? How do I get payments? I don't know how that works. So you start Googling stuff. Oh, my ID doesn't work. Oh, they don't accept my ID. They don't accept my bank. My bank doesn't allow this. Alright, so now let's look at this new bank. And you just go through things, setting things up and experimenting. For instance, I won't say what it was because it didn't really go anywhere and it was a while ago, but I started this business. It was an online business and I had to figure out a way to build a website, and so I used AI to build a website. And then obviously I'm 16, so a lot of things are hard with payment processes and legalities and things like this. But I ended up finding a way to do payments and setting it up, and eventually after my ID got rejected, I got it and sent it again, and blah blah blah. And eventually I sort of got it set up, and it sort of didn't work, so eventually I was like, alright, this isn't going to work, I'll just move on to the next thing. But it took me a few days of just trying, Googling, ChatGPT, all sorts of things. And I sort of got it down pat. And I realised it wasn't going to work because this wouldn't work, and this wasn't allowing, and blah blah blah. And you learn things. But I only learn things by figuring it out endlessly. And so that comes down to character. Are you going to stick it out for a few days of just not knowing what you're doing and going play by play, figuring it out? And that's the whole character aspect. And the second aspect, as I said, is mindset. And your mindset comes down to a bunch of principles, things you believe in, ways you view the world, lenses you can apply to certain situations. And one of the lenses which you need to apply when you are experimenting, when you are learning, when you are trying a new thing, is the belief that you are basically the main character of the world. Now, obviously, in actuality, in factual universe, right, in the real world, you're not the main character of the universe. You don't matter much at all. But if you believe that, if you go, okay, I'm not important at all, I don't matter, I'm not smart, I'm not rich, I'm not famous, I don't have anything extraordinary, I'm just a normal guy with nothing to offer, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I have no experience. That's a pretty stacked deck of cards. The odds are stacked against you a lot. And without the mindset, and without the character, you go nowhere, you achieve nothing. But if you believe, okay, I am that guy, I have the character to just continue to figure things out, to continue to try, I have to pull this off, I have to find a way to make money, make it out, whatever it is, to get famous, to get rich, to get jacked, whatever the objective is. And you just believe you are basically that guy. You then have this almost instinctual, not understanding, but instinctual belief that you can figure it out and you can get it done. For instance, I've been posting to YouTube for about 3 years now, and I still to this day don't really know much about titles, thumbnails, psychology behind different language, but I've experimented a lot and I'm slowly learning. And after a few years, I'm seeing that every now and then when I get a video that does quite well, it's doing better. For instance, about 2 years ago, a video doing really well for me was getting more than 10 views. If I got 10 views, if I got double-digit views, it did well. because my videos would average 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 views. Then I got to my first 100 view video, my first 200 view video, my first 500 view video, right? And it starts just stacking up, and you start to understand. Slowly you learn, and you learn more, and you learn a bit more, and a little bit more, and you start to develop an understanding of how things work. This can be applied to anything else in life. If you want to start a sport, say you want to become a football player, or an NFL player, you don't know how to play NFL, you just start training, you start researching, you start learning, you join a team, and you just kind of figure it out. But without this mindset of, I am that guy, and I'm responsible, and I need to pull this off, none of this happens. I genuinely believe that I am basically the main character of the world. Now that's a very cringy sort of Gen Z way to put it, but if you believe you are basically Batman, you are basically, like, if you believe you're gonna be the next Trump, or the next Elon, or the next Cristiano Ronaldo, or the next Conor McGregor, or whatever it is, the next big thing, that's you. I'm gonna be that guy who's just about it, getting things done, making shit happen. If you believe you're that guy, you start to go through life with the attributes of that person. And there's a very big difference between faking it until you make it and believing until you make it. Because I genuinely believe that I will be a multi-millionaire. Best case, I start a business, it makes a bunch of money, and I'm rich. Worst case, I work my job for another 10 years. I invest enough money, I get enough crypto, enough investments, enough high interest savings accounts, whatever it is, assets here and there, properties, and over time it stacks up. You get a snowball effect, and eventually you go from, it takes a couple of years to get your first 100,000, and then after a while, your net worth is going up 100,000 every month, and then it's every 2 weeks, and then it's every week, and then every couple of days, you're making tens of thousands of dollars, and it just snowballs. But this is only possible with the character attribute that you just figure shit out. You keep trying and researching and questioning until you understand what you're doing, until you pull it off. And the mindset that you are basically the main character of the universe and of your story, and you are destined to become insanely successful in whatever avenue you are choosing to pursue. And with these two things, you can basically do anything. The whole saying of, nothing's impossible, you can achieve anything, that's true. That is real. But it comes down to your character and your self-belief. Don't fake it till you make it. Do not be one of these guys who's pretending to be rich, pretending to be something you're not. Don't walk around the world pretending you're some G, some gangster. You're not. I'm not. We're not. But if you believe you are that guy who figures it out, who's destined to be an important person to be, who's destined to be rich, who's destined to be free, who's destined to have all the things you've ever wanted, you start to just go through life figuring it out. And that is the most important trait. I'm not particularly well networked, but I've met a few rich people, a few millionaires, a few successful business people in my time, whether it be online, whether it be in the real world, whether it be working jobs where it's like, the boss of my company has multiple companies and is a rich guy and hustler, right? And I've learned through being around these people, through researching, through trying things myself, that again, the most important and common trait between anyone who succeeds at anything, whether you are trying to play a sport, whether you want to get rich, whether you want to run a business, whether you want to get in great shape, whether you want to build a great family, is just the character attribute and the mindset of, I will figure it out, I have to pull it off, this is my story, I am destined to win. But the destiny does not come true unless I make it happen. And you're going to make it happen. And that's really all it comes down to. The reason that I've been able to get a couple million views on YouTube across all the videos I've posted, thousands of YouTube shorts, podcast clips, entertainment clips, a bunch of things I've tried. And every now and then you get one video that does, a couple hundred views or a couple thousand views or tens of thousands, or I've had a few YouTube shorts or TikToks do a couple 100,000 views. The reason that happens is because you just keep trying and figuring out and innovating and exploring and learning and getting better. And I don't want to repeat myself too much because I think I've got my point across. Become the guy who figures it out. Believe you are destined for all the great things you want. And with those two traits, you should be alright. See you tomorrow.